CH 230, page 31, making garment. So we are at making a garment. This is page 31, where it finally shows us how to use transfer tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of yarn on the machine, and we will practice a little bit of transfer tool work. So I'm going to pause the video, get that done. All right, so it's showing the 1x3 in their picture. Use when you decrease, increase, transfer stitches, and so on. Transferring stitches. Hook the needle between the transfer tool and pull towards you. Okay. And then you back it up, and now it's on the transfer tool. Remove the transfer tool onto the hook of the adjacent needle. So now it's saying to go like this. And then you just pull it through. Now, 3-2, how to use the latch tool. Latch tool. Use when you make ribbing, pick up, drop stitches, and so on. So let's drop a stitch. Oh, 1 second, please. Okay, so we have dropped a stitch. I'm gonna make it drop. Okay, so those are the ladders. We're still in the latch tool, and we just draw it through. And that is how you make ribbing when you don't have the ribber. All right. Oh, and I just showed you how to make rib. Look at that. 3-3, how to increase stitches. How to increase 1 stitch, the simplest method. They want you to take this loop and just E-wrap it. Or actually not even E-wrap it, just leave it out. And then you just knit across and it increases. The problem with this method, sure, it's easy, but it's also messy. On this side of the bed, I'll show you the better way. The best way to increase a stitch is to take 1, 2, or 3 stitches, move them over, drop them off, go into the next stitch, grab that ladder, also known as a purl bump, and move it over and fill in that hole. That is the better method. Let me show you how that worked. So we're going to knit across. Yes, this is knit. The problem is it's a giant loop. Now I'm just going to put this one on top of here. So yeah, that's not as pretty. So if you just take 1 loop, or even if you just take the purl bump and you move it over, it is still neater than this simple method. So let's knit across again. Now you still have that long loop, but it's still neater in the final garment or production. How to increase either side. Seriously, keep up with the multi-transfer tool. The one you will see me use the most is the 2x1, because I will move 2 stitches and then I'll move 1 up. And that's pretty much what I showed you here, where you move multiple, fill in the hole with the purl bump. It works very well. If you have to increase several stitches, let me put my transfer tool down. Let's say 4. You will need to E-wrap those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, move the yarn back, take up the tension, make sure that's forward, and then you can just knit across. Now that is very dangerous. This is why the KH230 gives you multiple claw weights. You want to get a claw weight on that now, and then when you knit across again, all of those stitches are secure and they're not going to come apart on you. Now it's going into how to decrease stitches. No different than how we increased. So I say move 2. And that's because you want to reduce the amount of bulk on the very edge of your knitwear, which will make it very, very clean. If you just decrease 1 and move it over, you will get a bump. And if it's right on a seam where you're going to be sewing, you are not going to be as happy with the result. So there you have bulk here, or bulk just inside. I'd rather have it just inside. How to decrease multiple. That's where you use the latch tool method. So let's go back onto this side because that's where we increase the most, and we'll do a decrease. So the best way to decrease, transfer tool into the latch, go in behind the gate peg, grab the next loop, close it, through, around, grab it, through. To me, this is the best method. It keeps the most width, so it's more springy, I guess is the word, and it reduces the amount of stress, especially if you are a new knitter. On your last stitch, I don't go behind the gate peg again. I just hang it on the last stitch that it needs to be. Now, I take up the slack, knit across. Now for this one, I don't leave it on the machine. I now pick it up, take it off the gate pegs, and then I put a claw weight on it to keep it held down. Now I have my stitches again, nice and even on my machine. So we did decreasing several stitches. We did decreasing 1 stitch. Let's decrease again so that we get down to 15. So 1 stitch. That's 1 stitch. Going to the other side. Oh my goodness, I still have the hold feature on the machine engaged from our last demo. So there, that is now knit off. I am now switching back to normal knitting, and we are actually going to do partial knitting. So actually I shouldn't have done that. So this is the example that they say for doing a sweater. So this is partial knitting going for a shoulder seam on a sweater. So you put both the left and the right into hold, and you bring out the number of stitches you need to put into E position. But it says to do it on the opposite side. So I'm going to quit being silly, move these back, and I'm going to do the opposite side like the instructions say. So those are back on there. I'm going to do the opposite side. So 4 stitches on the opposite side. Now we are going to knit across. That is now over top. So this shows that we need to go under the last stitch. Okay, so we're under that last stitch. And now we will knit across again. Bring out more. Knit across. Go under that last stitch. Knit across. Bring out some more. Knit across. And go underneath. This is another way that we also make darts. So there you go for that one. Now how do we bring it back? Well, that's easy. We just push them back so that the latches are touching the yarn loops, and we knit across. Do the same going under the stitch to lock it. Bring it back. Push those back. And knit across. Under. Across, push them back, or you can put it back into normal knitting, knit across, and now we have a wedge shape. Okay, so we've done that part. Ribbing stitches 3.6. The 1x1 rib is an alternating with 1 right and 1 purl stitch in 1 row. It is used for waistbands, cuffs, collars, and so many other stitches. Refer to page 31 on how to use the latch tool. Alter the purl stitch to the right one every other. Okay, so it's barely touching on that one. Now it wants us to go into the cable stitch pattern. Okay. So to do a cable stitch pattern, we cross stitches by using the transfer tools. The following example is knitted in 2 3-eyed transfer tools. Okay. So what it's saying is we're supposed to use 2 3-eyed transfer tools. Knit 9 rows and remove the adjacent stitches for both. Knit 9 rows and remove the adjacent stitches of both outside stitches where you wish the cable to be. Okay, so if we're going to do the center, so here and here, it wants us to release the stress on these edge ones. Okay, and now we go Click, click. It shows left is first. Right is second. Don't worry about that one that you're losing. This is about relieving the stress on the needles. Okay, I would move these forward so that you are sure that they will knit off. And now you knit. All right, knit again, knit again. Now you want to take your latch tool and you want to go chase that stitch that you dropped. And now you want to purl that up. You want to drop it now at the top here. You want to make sure you get both sides. So that is now purled. Going back on this side, find the one that you dropped. Nope. Looks like we had a little issue there. So we're going to go one lower. Grab it. Not sure what's going on with that, but we're just going to adopt it and go back up. I think what happened is that I actually accidentally dropped one of those stitches that I transferred, which can happen. So it's not going to be perfect this round. Okay. So we'll do 5 more rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to repeat. So those are going to be cabled. We drop this one and we drop this one. And then we go this one on top. Oh, I see where I dropped it. Okay. And then this one on the back. Pull it forward. Pull it forward. Bring these forward as well, then they'll knit off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grabbing your purl. One, two, 3, 4. Okay, going back to this one. Is there an easier way? I'm sure that there is. My easy way is not to cable. Okay, so that is a simple cable. Well, this is awkward. I kind of ran out of time, but here's what the cable looks like. Here we have that cable that we did. And even though we had a little weird side drops, you can see where it's supposed to be 3, but it's not. It's only 2. Sorry about that. In the next video, we will talk about rolled ribbing, waist knitting, and a bunch of useful hints.